Hey guys, how are you? Morgan, I'm back with another video. Hubby's here, Jermaine. He's been in a couple other videos, I think, but really not that much. So get to hear from him today. I've talked a little bit about our high-risk NIPT. We have had our baby. We're gonna do a video about my birth story, which will be posted, about our NICU story, which we are currently at. Don't worry, he is stable, in great condition. He is a monster baby. We're just here learning to re-eat after a surgery that went really well. He's good. We've been here for about a month, honestly.
About a month, right?
Yeah. So we're very stable. There's nothing wrong. We're just doing the refeeding and getting him to take full feeds, and it takes a little practice. So we're getting there. We want to talk about our NIPT results, basically talking about his diagnosis, and we're going to talk about it in two parts. One is kind of like getting the initial NIPT results, and like I said, I've already talked about it a little bit, but I haven't gone into detail about like how it affected like our pregnancy and everything we've learned and gone through. And then we kind of want to talk about the confirmation of his diagnosis. So yes, we have had confirmation of his trisomy 21 Down syndrome diagnosis, but we just want to talk about where we are with that right now, because we feel like it's a process. How we feel about it today will probably not be the way we feel about it a year from now, 5 years from now, 13 years from now. And it's just kind of documenting where we are with it, because we feel like it's going to be a little bit of a process. So we are just sitting up here in the NICU, and we are just wanting to talk about the NIPT test in general. I think it's super important because my going through this experience has changed my viewpoint on the NIPT test, what the actual implications are, and also it's affected the way that I feel about IVF in a lot of ways, because of the genetic testing. So I just want to we want to just start out talking about the NIPT test. So basically, I'm going to tell you from my experience, and we're two different people who I think we experienced it separately a little bit.
Right.
So I'll tell you how I felt about it, and then he can tell you how he felt about it, or how he feels about it now. So when we were 12 weeks along, once again, this was not an IVF pregnancy. This was a spontaneous pregnancy that happened. I was just turned 44 when I found out I was pregnant, and I was only 5 weeks when I found out, so I wasn't far along. Spontaneous pregnancy, not a tested embryo, and we are high risk because of our age, so we were offered the NIPT. Not everybody is offered the NIPT. It really depends on your insurance, and I'm pretty sure we even got a bill from Natera, who is where we got our NIPT test from, and NIPT stands for non-invasive prenatal testing. And so we weren't really asked, did we really want to? I do remember being told we should, and I remember there was a woman in our office who sat down with us and like basically said to us, like, do you know what we're testing for, and do you understand it? And we were like, yeah. But there was a reason why there was a woman who asked those things, because you don't know what you're getting into. Once you decide to take the NIPT, you are literally on a roller coaster for the rest of your pregnancy. God forbid anything come back. And the thing is like, the NIPT is not always correct. So if you get any sort of result, the whole entire life of another human is now your choice. And it is very complicated, and I don't really, my stance on abortion is basically relatively neutral. It has been my whole entire life. But I personally don't agree with it for myself. Other people, I get it, but it's not my choice what they do. But for me, I would never consider abortion. But what I will say is that if you take the NIPT and you get back anything, you can easily say like, no abortion for me, but you are questioning abortion. Like you have no choice on that. You talk to these genetic counselors and maternal fetal medicine doctors who call into question like whether or not you should have this baby, and it's very scary, and it's intense. It's the most hardest thing I've gone through, I will say that like going through years of IVF and years of infertility, it has its own challenges, but the health and the compatibility with life of your infant and dealing with that while pregnant is way harder than infertility for me. So it's like this. It's kind of like getting married. You have no idea what you're getting into. There's no way to know how hard marriage is. Everybody tells you it's hard, but you do not get it until you do it. The NIPT test, you do not understand the implications. If you take the NIPT test and nothing happens, cool, fine. There's plenty of women who have 2-3 kids, took the NIPT, and like there was never a positive result. It's not until you get a result that is going to call into question, and then you're on this like awful ride, and it is a club that nobody wants to be part of, and it is the worst. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through.
Yeah, but most people get NIPT tests to see the gender of their baby. Most time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, it tests the gender and it tests...
Yeah, but most people, when they get a NIPT test, they're like, I want to know what it...
Most people go get it because they want to know. Most people that take it don't really know how...
There's more to it.
You choose to take that test, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, there's more to it than just... And you just...
Even us, we knew we could potentially have... We knew we automatically had a higher risk.
Right.
And when we took it, I don't know how you felt, but when I got the results, my ass dropped out of my body. Like, my floor dropped out of my world. Like, I cried for 2 weeks straight because when I talked to the MFM doctor and the genetic counselor, like, I was basically kind of told, like, every worst case scenario, which was my baby might or probably would be incompatible with life, so I probably wouldn't get a baby out of this. So I was, like, worst case scenarioing it. And then also, the number one questions you ask when you talk to your MFM and your genetic counselor is, what are we looking at here? And, like, how will I know if there's something awfully wrong with the baby that's not compatible with life, or that's going to create all these, like, complications that are going to be painful for him and damage his life and make his life awful? When will I know that, and how will I know that, and what are my options? So you hear about those things because you ask about those things.
But doesn't the NIPT test also tell you what? Did it tell us?
No.
What type of Down syndrome?
No.
So we didn't know that. Okay.
No, and even it doesn't matter what type, because it's not a spectrum like autism, but there is like a very broad range.
Right.
You can learn whether or not you have trisomy 13, 18, or 21, or sometimes like monosomies and sometimes small deletions. But that's the only things they test for.
Right. So do you think that while these MFN doctors are telling about that, are they trying to be like the worst case of the?
I think that they think they're doing their job by letting you know what is the worst that could happen. But I think in telling you the worst that could happen, you are thinking that that is what's going to happen, and they don't give you best case scenarios or the fact that there are... The thing is that we really don't know if we have a range of abilities in people with Down syndrome. We don't really know how much of it is nature versus nurture. So some people have more minimal, minor disability and have like a high IQ or high functioning, or whatever you want to call it. We don't know if that's due to early intervention and services and parents who nurtured them more effectively. We don't know. Like, it's too early to say, because 30 years ago, they weren't even allowed into school. So like they're not really giving they're not showing you all the outcomes. They're just telling you, like, this is worst case scenario. What I was told was that there's a chance my baby would never walk, never eat food, be fed through a feeding tube, be nonverbal, be in a wheelchair, diapers for life, and be in a breathing tube. And also what I was told was, the first thing I was told was that I was asked a question: have you ever seen an adult with Down syndrome? And I was like, how often do you see an adult with Down syndrome in the real world? And I said, I don't really see Down syndrome in the real world. Like, I've rarely seen it. And he said, that's because they really don't exist. Like, they're rare because they really shouldn't exist. It's like an anomaly, and they don't like most of the time, if you have a baby inside of you, like you are pregnant with a baby with Down syndrome, they will not go to term. You probably will not get a baby out of this. And if you do get a baby, they might live 2 hours, they might live 2 days, they might live 2 weeks or 2 years, but they will not have a long life, is what I was told. It wasn't until we talked to, then also I remember my genetic counselor told me that if I loved my baby, I would abort my baby. And it was clear that I already loved my baby at 12 weeks, so I should do what's right and put it out of its misery before it was born. And this is Texas, so I still remember like verbatim what they said. It wasn't until we talked to Dr. McGurk, and I was not really so much upset about having a baby with Down syndrome. I was upset about not having a baby and going through all this to not get a baby. And he told us like his close friends have a child with Down syndrome.
Is your
OB,
your OB,
who was like the least educated out of all these people who know about trisomies, right? But he was like, I have a friend with a child with Down syndrome, and he's great, and he's happy, and they have a baby. And he was like, at this point, by the time we took the test and got the results and then had the doctor appointment, I was 16 weeks. And Dr. McGurk was like, you're 16 weeks, like, you're having a baby. Like, you're having a baby. So why are you thinking you're not going to get a baby? And I explained to him what the MFM said, and he was like, that's very antiquated. Like, that is not the case. So the thing is it's 2024, and I'm given only the worst case scenarios. And also one thing they said was, it's not like you see on TV. But the thing is that social media is real people. Like, I get it, they're not showing the hard stuff, but there's plenty of people on there who are Down syndrome verbal, Down syndrome thriving, Down syndrome living a happy life, Down syndrome happy they were born, Down syndrome even smart enough to understand they have Down syndrome. So it's pretty amazing. And Down syndrome in and of itself, like, I feel like, okay, we can handle this, you know, but it's the complications, that the fear that they instilled, like, they were just fear mongering, and it made me think about, should I abort my baby for my baby? And one thing I learned, and I'm not judging anybody who chooses it, but I'm not really judging the people who choose it, but I'm like, are you making the choice based off of facts, or are you scared of the unknown? Because there's a real fear of the unknown. And when you are having a child that's unlike you in certain ways, like intellectually or verbally or developmentally, there is fear in that. Just that difference. Like, I think that it's innate in all humans. That's probably my number one scariest thing, is this fear that I have no control over. Because logically, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, Down syndrome, I can handle it. I don't think Down syndrome is, it's compatible with life. Like, it's completely fine. It's different, but it's not necessarily going to create a worse human or a better human. It's just a different style of human. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like I said, the thing is that there's a few things. One thing I want to say about that is that, okay, you know how, I feel like, when they asked her have she seen Down syndrome people, adults, kids, I've seen them, but it's kind of rare that you see them. But I take it as like a car. Like, you can see a car and you've never seen a car before, but as soon as you buy it, you see it everywhere. Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing. I bought my daughter a car, Rondo. Never heard of a Kia Rondo. Mm-hmm. Saw it, looked like it was a spacious, safe car. Bought it for her. After that, started seeing Rondos everywhere. So, once we start getting into the community of the Down syndrome,
seeing people with Down syndrome.
Well, yeah, we
never saw them before,
right? And then so when you start getting to the community of Down syndrome people, and so as far as we start meeting people, we'll be more aware of it now than we were before.
Like, ever since I got pregnant and found out, like, we've seen them at the pediatrician.
Yeah.
We've seen them at the hospital. We've seen them out in real life. I saw a woman with a teenage son who had Down syndrome at the line in Costco getting pizza, like, just standing there, totally normal person. Like, you could tell he had Down syndrome, but he looked like he was thriving. Like, he was just standing in line waiting for his pizza.
Yeah, and as far as the fear thing about Down syndrome, here's the thing. The thing is, like, we're just new to this, so this is a totally clean slate. We have no idea what we're doing and things like that. We research, we see people's lives, things like that. The thing is like, we have, as far as us, I think we have the patience, we have technology to be able to help us learn and how to raise our child, to the best of our ability and things like that. But there's some people out there who lifestyles are not conducive to having Down syndrome kids because they're going to take more time to develop or more resources to develop. So some people, either work too much, or some people who, who don't really believe, who's like, leave their child aside and just kind of sit there and things like that.
Yeah, but that's not good for any child. And the
Yeah,
thing
I
is,
know it's not
what
good for
I
a
would
child.
say is, me personally, like straight up, one thing I will say is, I do not think that a diagnosis of Down syndrome is a good enough reason to abort your child. If you are having a child and you know you're going to have a child, it doesn't matter like how strenuous or like whatever your work schedule is, you can handle a Down syndrome child. It's not that hard. I don't think it does take a little extra.
But again, we're just starting out. We can't
But
sit
from
there.
what I've seen,
But what you've seen,
I don't think that Down syndrome is a good enough reason for abortion.
I'm not saying
ever.
abortion. I'm not saying abortion. What I'm saying to you is we can only speak on other people's experiences, so we really can't speak on ours because we're on this journey.
Right.
So
true.
I can't sit there and say like, oh, I
Well-
can't see why they, because we're not in the thick of it. Because that's the thing about it.
Well, regardless of what the thick of it will look like, the fact that it is not a life-threatening, it's not a disease. That's kind of like saying like, if I knew my kid would have leukemia, I would just abort them. Or if I knew my kid had autism, I'd just abort them. Like in the future, like we already know, like this NIPT test, they're trying to make it free for everybody because it will prevent there from being like complicated childlike situations. So
Right.
I do not think it is a good enough reason to abort your child. I do not think Down syndrome, it's kind of like autism. It's a spectrum, right? So it's like autism is not a good enough reason to abort your child, but in the future there could be a test to find out, does my child have autism? And you will have that choice. And I don't think autism is a good enough reason to abort a child. And I know that autism is not the same thing as Down syndrome, but there is some compatibility between the two. I've seen it on Love on the Spectrum and shows. So I know that there are some like developmental, like you just never know where they're going to be. I do not think Down syndrome is abortable. Like I don't think it's a reason to. I think there are other more severe things that the NIPT can show that's not Down syndrome that maybe, or ultrasounds can show like babies being born without a brain. So like they choose to abort, okay, that's their choice. But I don't think Down syndrome has ever been and should ever be. I don't think the consideration of aborting should even exist.
I mean,
I don't.
That's. I mean, it's you, but in the same sense, there might be people out there who's like a mother out there who's like, oh, I got pregnant. I found out the baby is Down syndrome. I wanted to adopt. I want to give my baby up for adoption, but then think of, it's hard enough to adopt a baby, a normal baby, out in this world. It's probably even harder to having a Down syndrome baby be adopted.
I don't know anything about that, but all I know
I'm
is
just saying.
that
That's what I'm saying.
it is having a kid in and of itself is going to disrupt your life, disrupt your work, create new schedules. It's going to be hard no matter what. So I don't think, me personally, and we'll see what I think in 3 years, but it may be way easier than we think it's going to be, or not that much different than a regular baby. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, but we shall see. And like from what I've heard, it's like, yeah, they have different challenges, but it's different. It's not worse or harder. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
We'll
but-
see. To be determined. But me personally, I don't think you should consider aborting your baby just because of Down syndrome.
No.
I think a lot of times the doctors are uneducated, and like we're here, right? But the thing is like our baby has Down syndrome and we have gotten the diagnosis. We're here because of feeding issues and just low tone, and our baby had a small section of his intestines that was too narrow, so they had to bypass that part.
And we're lucky for that.
Yeah, we have no heart issues.
Yes,
We have
and that's the thing about it is, the first thing that I've never thought about aborting a baby, but the thing is that when I first saw his heartbeat, how strong he was, and in the ultrasounds, I was like, this kid's gonna make it regardless of whatever happens.
God.
This kid's gonna make
He
it.
had no heart defects whatsoever. He had no issues with like his stomach. The part of his digestive system that required surgery, it was so minor, you couldn't even find it on an ultrasound. But what I will say is that if you are having a baby with Down syndrome, it doesn't matter what's on the ultrasound, you never know, because look where we are. It isn't critical. Okay, this is not a critical NICU stay. We're in a NICU because he came 3 weeks early and he needs some help with eating with his tone, and like a baby needs to eat X amount of food, like 2 ounces in 20 minutes, or he'll lose weight, and we don't want him to lose weight. So this is like a non-critical, this is kind of like optimizing his feeding, and they just have an extra bed, basically, right? Like they could send us home. Me personally, what I will say is that I found out the NIPT. We did not choose to do the amnio. We just said the amnio is not going to cure him. We want him either way. So we're not going to do the amnio because the amnio comes with risks, especially with BMI and age. And also because the motherfucker who wanted me to get an abortion so intensely was also the guy who I was like, who's going to do my amnio? And he was like, me. And I was like, fuck no, you're not. You're not touching my kid. So I know.
We're Christopher the baby.
Yeah.
Bad mother, bad.
Yeah. So I was like, no. And Jermaine was also like, no. And we also had a person at our doctor's office say she did the amnio when she was 25 and it led her to miscarry. So she recommended just don't bother if you're going to plan. So we didn't. And I was determined to enjoy my pregnancy regardless. Like, he was safe and warm and comfortable and happy inside of me, and he acted like any other pregnancy. He was very active inside of me. If he did have low tone, you couldn't tell because he used to kick the crap out of me, hiccuped a lot. Like, being pregnant was great, and I wanted to enjoy it, and we knew there was always the chance of like something could happen, but we did the nursery, we did the baby shower, we did all the things. We took a little extra time to announce because we wanted to make sure we were still pregnant.
Yeah, make sure viable and everything was, we just knew for sure.
And like Dad really, really hoped, and I think Dad had a hard time believing that, like Dad believed that it wouldn't come true, like he wouldn't.
I mean, I thought maybe a self-correct or, because, there's still mosaic self-correct, but
just
I mean.
in the placenta. That's another thing he told us. It could be just in the placenta. He might not have it. He could have mosaic, which can self-correct partially or almost down to nothing, so we didn't know. And we still really don't know. We haven't really read the results. We just know that it is, the diagnosis is he has Down syndrome. And we haven't really read the genetic report yet. Honestly, we haven't had time. So we'll look more into that later probably. But I kind of thought Dad kind of thought, and tell me if I'm wrong, but Dad kind of thought like, we tried for so many years, we always wanted a boy, we got it, like it probably won't be Down syndrome that he has. And I was kind of like, we shouldn't have been able to give birth. We were too old, like that was a miracle. Also, it's really rare to have Down syndrome, so we probably, like, we keep hitting the lottery with these like rarities. So I was like prepared for it and accepting it, and Dad didn't research because he didn't want to like manifest it, but I did. And I joined groups and I got involved with the community. He's snarking right, but he's a little bit late. So I got involved and I just hope for the best. But either way, I was fine with it and I learned a lot. I started researching like different things and preparing myself. What else? But yeah, he's just like just any other baby, and he's great, and he's really cute, and
everybody says he's cute in the hospital. Everybody, I mean, you about to give this kid a complex. I'm like, look, we just, really all this cuteness they keep saying. I keep thinking they get paid to say it,
He's very light. When I hold him, he looks like me. When Dad holds him, he looks like Dad. It's weird that he's like this like combo. When Dad holds him, I think he looks like his dad. But like he has blue eyes and he's very fair right now, but he does have some features that look like he's gonna darken up. We don't know if his eyes will turn or not, but right now they're like very blue and very pretty. It's just, he's really cute, and he has a lot of different faces. Like he does this little super scrunch like pouty lip face, and then he does this little, like he does like this when he wants to play. He's like, and he has great eye contact, and he's really, really sweet. And I'll show you some pictures and stuff. But now that the diagnosis is here, we're just going with the flow.
See, the thing is with her, we're two different people. Mm-hmm. So with her, she's all about science. She's all about, looking at videos and looking at all these people and this, that, and the other, and you know, I understand the research and look at people's video. I'm a very I look I don't know me. I see people's videos and see the Down syndrome, things like that, and I try to keep it real because you know people influence is influence. That's what their job is to do. Their job is to show you a certain side of life, certain side of things, and things like that. And you know, I don't like fake people. I don't like people like,
I'm
oh,
gonna
look
give
at
Ms.
this.
Binky what you're talking.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. You know, this, that, and the other. You know, I like to keep it real all the way around the board. And the thing is, like, sometimes people get caught up of fake, you know, like soap opera Days of Our Lives, where it's like, it's not real. You know, this is the real. And I believe also, too, is I just let things play. I'm a very faithful person. I believe in God. I believe in that God gives you things that you can handle and things like that. So I base myself on faith. My wife, she based a lot of stuff on science.
I have faith too.
She was like, IVF. And I'm like, you know, why don't we just wait? You know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And she's like, no, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do everything, spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a bunch of stuff. And to come to find out, we had a baby natural. You know, we didn't need to do all the, you know, IVF stuff and things like that when, you know, maybe that helped. Maybe that helped became more fertile. Who knows? But all I know is we had a baby naturally. Oh my goodness. Can you reach?
Yeah.
You sure you're going to stretch him out too far, isn't it?
Yeah. This is him. He's awake, but I can't really turn him right now because he's on a like a pulse ox type thing.
So just turn this way then.
But I have the video of him already. I'm gonna. Oh, there he goes. He wants to be on camera. That's him. He has a little sticker here.
Yeah, the feeding tube.
What he can't eat through his mouth, he goes to the feeding tube. You just want to be on camera.
You gotta hold it.
He's pooping.
Oh my goodness.
No. You have not slept since 1. How the heck are you
You're gonna hold
eat?
him. You gotta let him,
Look at his little face. He's so cute. It's very serious. He needs to poop. You did poop? Did you poop? You did poop? You did good. You did good poop. I'm proud of every poop. I'm proud of every feed in. He's a very strong baby. He has low tone, but he's also super powerful. Yep, you're
his
pooping.
arms and stuff like that.
Oh, but he's in a pink swaddle because that's my fault. It was white. I did laundry.
I tried to tell her you're putting red sweatpants with cream colored swaddles gonna happen, but no, she didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
Let me have done it. She'd jump. I mean, I'd be in the hospital right now with injuries from the head because she thinks I'd be dumb to do that.
You better cut that part out.
No,
Yeah.
I cut that part out.
Yes, I am.
I'm gonna add in.
So yeah.
So yeah, so.
So that's where we are.
Yeah, so like I said, I believed in faith. I believed in that, you know, it was going to happen. And that's another reason why it's like, I feel like a lot of people who get scared to abort a Down syndrome baby, because everybody doesn't know the situation. Like with us, we've been together for almost 12 years now. We've been trying to have a baby for years, and that
10
happened.
years.
12, like 12?
No, we've been trying to have a baby.
Yeah,
for
10, yeah. And when this happens, this is not something we could just say, oh, you know what, we'll just abort this baby and try for another one. We don't have that.
I would never.
I know, I'm just saying if we was to do something like that.
Another thing I try to do too is this. I try to keep like a realistic perspective in life because the truth is that you never know where life is gonna go. We watch movies, we watch Instagram, watch these things, and like we have an idea of what life should look like, but that is not how life actually works. In reality, in a real life, things happen to people all the time. And good things happen to people, and sometimes tragic things happen to people. And I don't think this is a tragedy. I think this is like a miracle, and this is a blessing. And he's like the best Christmas present ever, and my favorite thing in the whole world. But the thing is like what you see on TV and Instagram is not reality. And anytime you have a baby, you never know how they're going to turn out, and you never know what will happen. You can have an 18-year-old child who has a horrible accident, ends up paralyzed, and you have to take care of him for the rest of his life. Like, you just don't know. and like we could wake up tomorrow and have cancer. Like you just don't know, and things happen in life, and that is the reality of life. It is not all Instagram, what you see, like perfection. Like there's no such thing, you know what I mean? And you can have a typical baby and there's no test for it and it has leukemia. You can have a typical baby and it has a really like low functioning autism. Like you don't know whenever you have a baby. You can have a perfectly typical child and then they get older and they end up in a stripper pole or a crack pipe, or they end up a serial killer or a woman beater, and like God forbid, or a bank robber, or any number of awful things. So the thing is, or just being, they can just be an asshole. You know, when you have a Down syndrome baby, like they're probably not going to have those typical problems that I just mentioned, but he'll have a different set of problems that we'll have to help him with. But we're almost guaranteed not to have an asshole for a child. Like he'll probably be really fun. You know, like there's
Let's hope so.
You're fun. So you just never really know. And like I try to keep a perspective, like when it really comes down to it, awful, horrible things happen in life, and this is not one of them.
No.
This is like I thought my world was falling apart, but it was because I was afraid that I had gotten pregnant and I was so happy and I wasn't going to end up with a baby and it was going to be an awful loss. And I will say one
Because
thing
Down
I
syndrome?
learned, I thought we weren't going to give birth.
Okay.
That he was
Okay.
not going to be compatible with life based off of
I
what the
thought,
doctors told me.
honestly, I thought what was destroyed was your idea of what your child was going to be like normally. Like, you know
No,
what I'm
the
saying?
first 2
Okay.
weeks, the reason I cried was because I was convinced that I wasn't going to get a baby. After all this shit, it was just a tease. And I
Okay.
wasn't going to get one after all, and I was so happy and so excited. So, like, I would take him a million times over. I mean, honestly, we've already started talking about potentially adopting, like, a baby with Down syndrome, or adopting a mosaic embryo or an embryo.
No, get my daughter first.
Yeah, or other frozen
Yeah,
embryo.
we have a daughter first embryo that's been tested and everything's
But
fine.
the thing is,
And that's
just
one
like,
thing too, is we did IVF and we did have one successful egg, and it's a girl, and everything's
embryo.
it's embryo, and everything's perfect. So I didn't think that I'd have a Down syndrome baby after that. That's what I thought. I kind of
crazy,
first.
right?
Right.
So, but the thing is also is like the NIPT can be wrong, just like the genetic testing can be wrong, and that's a whole nother implication of like doing an IVF. Just made me realize that like you can get like 5 embryos and get them tested, and 2 are euploid, and then the rest are not euploid, meaning they have like some kind of trisomy. But do they? Because you never know with the test. So that's why it's always a crapshoot, because there are people who adopt embryos. Like there was one woman who adopted 2 male embryos. Both of them had a defective test. Neither of them were euploid, and one of them actually was euploid and the other one was normal, but they tested it was defective. So you just never know. So people are flushing perfectly good babies left and right, and it's really sad. But at least it's just an embryo. But it's still life. It's so sad to me.
I was listening to your guy Neil.
DeGrasse Tyson.
Yes,
Yeah.
your guy. He was saying about being born. He says there'd be billions of people on this earth. If every egg and sperm
Well,
was.
there are
right.
billions of people on this earth.
No. There'd be big. No, more like a lot. Like.
Not
There's,
for IVF, but-
no. I'm saying there's 100. He says that over time of life, there's been 100 billion people that's been on this earth. He's saying like just being born itself is a miracle.
Yeah.
It's like the odds are
Right.
astronomical.
We're so lucky to be here.
And
It's
so
not an
then,
accident. I don't believe that at all.
even having a baby with Down syndrome, that kind of put me in perspective of like,
yeah, it's a
he
miracle.
beat out even normal or unknown or whatever the odds.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
I don't think he's an accident at all. I think he's definitely meant to be here. And the thing is that's the reason why I don't think Down syndrome should ever be considered, because it's not incompatible with life. It's not incompatible with existence. It's not incompatible with health. It's not incompatible with independence. Like, it's just different.
The coolest thing is, I could be so goofy and he'll think I'm the coolest man on earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully, he might get away with you one day. Be like, God, Dad, you're annoying. That's intelligent.
Hopefully, no. It's, no, that's probably the cool. But that's my dad. He's so cool. Yeah.
And he'll love you forever.
Yeah. Then I probably think my dad's slow too. Then, so yeah.
Don't say that.
No.
But yeah, we're super excited to see where this goes, and he's a really sweet baby.
Yes,
He's
he
just like
is.
any other baby. He has a strong heart. Everything is good.
Strong.
Yeah, he has great eyelashes. He's really cute. I don't know if you can like really see him. But yeah, super baby. But yeah, that's it. That's our diagnosis story so far,
Yep.
and we'll definitely come back. And all I will say is this: if you are over 40, just know that it's not what you see with the celebrities getting pregnant left and right. Like takes a lot of science and embryo testing and stuff to get pregnant. Like it's hard to get pregnant over 40, and if you are pregnant over 40, just be aware that you do run the risk of having a baby with Down syndrome. It's a real risk, and be prepared for that. And then also know what the NIPT test is, understand the implications and the roller coaster ride you're getting on. I wish I had never known, but I still cope pretty good. And then also just know that even if you do have a Down syndrome diagnosis and all of your ultrasounds are great, there could be something small. Like it could be something as simple as they're a little floppier or low tone and they end up in the NICU. It's not life threatening. Maybe we shouldn't even be here. Maybe we should be in a different wing or something, but you know, this is a really good hospital. So we're in good hands and we're getting optimized feedings and we're learning, and you know, he's going to be great to go home. So that's where we're at. And we will update you more on our experience, and we can't wait. And he's going to have a great life. And he picked a good mom. And I picked a really great baby, I can tell. Yeah, this one is specialty designed for us. And he definitely wanted to be here.
And he did.
Definitely a little miracle. He beat a lot of odds to get here.
Sure did.
Shoot.
Sure did.
Yeah. He sure does. He made us wait a long time, but he's here.
And
So
he's here.
we feel super blessed to have him. He's the best little nugget ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. Bye.
This is what I did.